Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to my channel, Light of Divine Love. I'm your host, Kelly Miller. Just want to say you're amazing, you're beautiful, you're powerful, you're inspiring. I love you, and thank you for joining me today. So, today is Friday, and I have to be at the sanctuary at 6 p.m. But before I can do that, I gotta go to work. So I get up, tell myself my positive affirmation, I'm inspiring, I'm beautiful, and powerful, and loving, and I get ready and I go to work and I get to the restaurant and I see my manager Tony, and he comes up to me and he says, "Thank God you're here. I need your assistance." He goes, "I have a party of 20 and they want to sit on the patio. So I need you to go out there and set that up for me." So I go out there and I set it up and rock it out for him. And I look at the schedule board, and who's on the patio? Me. So my first party of the day is going to be 20. So I have a great day. I go out there and I rock that party. I'm very, very busy. Around 2 o'clock, 2:30, Tony comes up to me and says, "Hey man, you did a really great job. You can go ahead and shut down your section and go ahead and go home for the day." So I bust out my side work, get everything done, and I make my way down towards the sanctuary, which is in Huntington Beach. And I decide I'm going to stop and get something to eat, have me some soda because I won't have any for the next 3 days. And I just sit there for a few minutes, have my lunch, and getting ready to see the staff, Dion, Carolee, Scott, all the facilitators, and then see my buddy. I haven't seen my buddy in a week, Arnold. And so I'm really, really excited to get there. So I drive over to the sanctuary and I pull in, and I could see Arnold, I could see Ron and Mary, I could see Ted and Nancy. So I get out and I hang out with them for a few moments, and everyone's starting to come in. We have Michelle showing up. There's Sarah. There's Bill and Anna. And they open the doors for the sanctuary, and we head inside and we sit down. And Dion comes up and asks us how we're doing and how our week was. And we're all very excited to be back at the sanctuary and to be with everybody. And he asked, does anybody have anything that they would like to share for the week for their challenges? So a few people go up there and share, and I decide I'm going to go up there and share what my week was like with my challenges. So I share my experience with trying to heal my relationship with my younger sister. And so I tell them, that my sister boyfriend, that baby daddy, has left her and she's been by herself with her son, and listening to what she had been experiencing during that time with him being gone, and the challenges that she's facing, feeling rejected, feeling hurt and abandoned. And so I tell them that we take my nephew to the park and we hang out there for a little bit, and take him back home. And I tell them that the first thing I do is I sit down and I tell my sister, "Gabby, I love you. And I'm very, very sorry for the things that I had done and said to you as we were growing up as kids. And you didn't deserve any of those things that I did to you." And I'm starting to cry. And I'm really breaking down because this was a really big step for me and my sister. So my buddy Arnold comes up and he gives me a big hug and he tells me he loves me and that I got this and that he's very proud of me. And so he walks back to his seat, and I tell them about my sister asking me to babysit for my nephew, on how that was very, very big because I hadn't seen my sister in about 2.5 years. And for her to be willing to ask me to babysit for her was really big. So I tell them about my experience babysitting my nephew, Mikey. And, I tell him everything. I said, "Mikey, what do you want to do?" And he goes, he wants to go to Chuck E. Cheese. So we go to Chuck E. Cheese. And I explain to them as I'm running around with my nephew, being the babysitter that I need to be, I start reflecting on this experience, on like, this could be my own child. And what kind of parent do I want to be when I have kids? And I'm telling them that it was such a great experience for me to sit back and connect with my nephew, because again, I never felt that freedom as a kid, the way that my dad was so overbearing and controlling about anything and everything that we did, and how I felt deprived and robbed of that experience of just being a carefree kid and not really worrying about anything. So I share that experience with them, and I'm crying, I'm crying, I'm crying because it was so powerful for me. Again, I'm 24 years old. Most of my life has been with alcohol and substances, and I never really looked at my nephew as some as my own. And so as I'm telling them this experience on how this really changed my life, and that being able to connect with my nephew at Chuck E. Cheese and just see his innocence and his carefree attitude of life was so overwhelming for me. And then I told them that, I took him home and we sat and played some Nintendo, and that this experience of just hanging out with him was so overwhelming for me, because again, he didn't ask me to buy him stuff. He didn't complain that I didn't buy him stuff for Christmas or his birthday and that I didn't see him. It's just that I was there with him, and it was him and his Uncle John, and that's all that mattered to him. And then I explained to them that when I read him his bedtime story, and we were laying in the bed and I'm reading the story, and I could feel the closeness, I could feel the love, and the just the excitement that he had just hanging out with me. And then I tell him about my sister. When my sister got home, that I was sitting there on their couch crying, reflecting on all this day's experience with my nephew. And that I told my sister, like, thank you very much, Gabby, for allowing me the privilege to babysit my nephew, and what it brought to me, because it brought me a connection that I hadn't had with him, but it also brought me a connection for my own inner child. So, you know, I get off the stage, and I'm being with myself, because I am crying, because it was a very powerful experience for me to connect with my nephew and myself. So Dion comes up to the stage after I share, and they're going to give us some phrases or sayings about creating a new way of thinking. So this is my impact journal. I've been meaning to share this with you guys. I've been a little spacey on it. So right now we are in the first level of Quest, and then we will be going to Summit, and then we will be going to Liftoff. So we're sitting there, and Dion has us break out our journal, and he goes, I want you to write a new way of thinking as your title for this. The first phrase that he says, if I do what I've always done, I'll get what I've always got, which is a very powerful saying, because when I look at things in my life on how I acted and the things that I did and the substances and all the alcohol that I'm drinking and the issues that it's creating for me in my life, that one rings very powerful for me. If I do what I've always done, I'll get what I've always got. So that was the first thing that he said. The second saying that he says is, you only know what you know by who you were taught it from, which again is a very, very powerful message, because when I look back at my life and I think about the abuse that I experienced with my dad and the teacher, the rejection that I felt from my brothers and sisters and my mom, all the issues that I had with alcohol, with Karen One and Juliet, the things that I was learning were not good. And I could see the cycle that I had been creating through that. So again, the second saying is, you only know what you know by who you were taught it from. The third thing that he says is, in order for me to be right, you have to be wrong. Or in order for you to be right, I have to be wrong. And that was another very powerful message, because when we look at things in our life, and the reason why I put these together, because we hold on to things that we were taught at a very young age as being fact and unbreakable truths. And then that other saying is, in order for you to be right, I have to be wrong. Or for me to be right, you have to be wrong, coincides with each other. Because again, the way that we think about things, sometimes it's hard to break away from something that we hold on to as fact that may not be true, that may be hurting us. So he gives us these three sayings for right now. And we just sit there and we just kind of think about how these phrases add to our life to reevaluate how we are thinking about the things that we're doing to make a better, clearer, and knowledgeable choice in our life when it comes to interacting with other people. So these were three very powerful messages for everyone in the group to take a look at when we think about the baggage and the hurt that we are carrying, the things that we have learned from friends, family, religion, whatever it might be, and then how we go about wanting to be right. Because again, in order for me to be right, you have to be wrong, and no one wants to be wrong. And that feeling of being wrong can hurt someone in their own emotional way. So these phrases were very big, and there's more phrases that I will share. I'm just going to give them 3 at a time so that this way you guys can take a look at those and see how maybe they might resonate for you in your life. So after Dion gives us these phrases and everything, they're going to go ahead and send us to an early dinner. It's roughly around 6:30 p.m. So about maybe 8 o'clock, we have to be back at the sanctuary. And so me and Arnold, we go and we have some lunch, and we're just sitting there thinking about these things that they're saying on those phrases. In order for me to be right, you have to be wrong. If I do what I've always done, I'll get what I've always got. And you only know what you know by who you were taught it from, and how all these, just those 3 phrases right there really make a difference on how we are going to start perceiving things in our life when it comes to interacting with other people. So me and Arnold, we go back to the sanctuary. It's roughly around 8 p.m. And we're sitting there, and Dion comes to the stage, and he goes, "Want everyone to push their seats back, find a spot on the floor, take your shoes and socks off. We're going to have some meditation time." So in this experience right now, we're going to take a look at the abuse that we had been experiencing in our lives. But not just that, we're going to add 100-pound weight of lead to every year of abuse that we experienced in our life. So as I'm sitting there, I'm in my meditation state, I think about my dad. And I visualize my dad there, and I visualize all the years of abuse from the time that I was about 4 till about 10. For each year, I add 100-pound block of lead to that abuse. So we're looking at like 600 pounds of abuse added to that. And then I look at the teacher, Todd, that sexually abused me for 5 years, and I add another 100-pound lead block to that 5 years. So you could see how those lead blocks add up in weight. And the same thing with my mom, and how the rejection I felt, and the pain and the experience of adding all of those lead block weights to my life. I look at my relationship with my brother and sisters, and the rejection and the fighting and the pain that I experienced with them. And again, I'm adding more lead blocks. As you could see, there's a lot of lead blocks adding up. And then I think about my relationship with Juliet, and my relationship with Karen 1, and the 2.5, 3 years that I was with them, and all those lead blocks that I am adding to my life. And the reason why we are experiencing this in this way is when we experience pain, we block it out, and we don't put anything to connect it to. This is connecting that pain to a physical object, which is that 100-pound lead bar. And now as we connect that pain to something, we can actually see the years that we've been stuffing and holding on to this stuff, and how it's affecting our heart, and how it's weighing so much on our heart, which doesn't allow love in and doesn't allow love out. So all these lead blocks that I've added up in my life, I could see how they're imprisoning me in my own mind, in my own heart, and in my own life. And I'm sitting there and I'm crying. I'm in tears because I see the pain in a different way now. And so this goes on for about maybe an hour and a half or so. And Dion comes up to the stage and he goes, "I want you now to visualize yourself on a boat out in the middle of the ocean with all of your weight, all of this pain and hurt and anger and rejection and everything. Look at it, feel it." And he goes, "Now, what I want you to do is from the very beginning, grab one lead bar and drop it off the boat into the bottom of the ocean. And you're going to say, 'This doesn't serve me no more. This is not me. I am worthy of love.' And get rid of all of this weight that we've been carrying in our life. So as I go through this and I'm thinking about my dad, and all the hurt that my dad created me, I'm better than that. I don't deserve that. I am worthy of love. I am a beautiful person. And I'm releasing all of that stuff. And I could feel my heart just, it's beating very, very fast in a sense of excitement and adrenaline, because that pain is no longer serving me in my life. So by taking all of that stuff, Juliet, Karen one's mom, my brothers and sisters, and all of that, just throwing it overboard on this boat, I feel so lighthearted. And then I'm just crying because I realize that this stuff and all of the alcohol and all the stuff that I'm holding on to block out all this no longer serves a purpose in my life. So this was a very, very powerful experience for us, because again, none of us ever looked at it in this metaphoric way of adding a physical object to the pain that we've experienced in our life. So as we do this and we're all getting done with it, Dion comes up and he just says, "How do you guys feel? Do you feel the releasing of all of this hurt and all of this pain and all this anger off of your heart, off of your mind, off of your body?" And we're just crying because we're releasing all of this, and we could feel a difference in our own mind, in our own body, and on letting go of this. And Dion he goes, "I want you just to take 15 to 20 minutes and just be in this moment with yourself, and understanding that that pain that you are letting go and becoming free of doesn't exist anymore. You don't need to think about it. You don't need to hold on to it. You don't need to remind yourself of these things, because they no longer serve a purpose." So we're crying, and these are tears of joy and happiness, because again, if you've been following the story, you've heard a lot of pain that people have been carrying, the pain that I've been carrying, and to get rid of it and to be able to just say, "I'm above that now. I can move on in my life and have some closure," was just a very powerful experience. And as I'm sitting there and I'm meditating through this process, I feel so joyful in my life. I feel so loved. I love myself so much. And so Dion comes up and he goes, "All right, now that we've experienced this and you guys can let go of that, we're going to send everybody home early, because Saturday is going to be a very interesting day for us. But they want us to have some time just to be with ourselves and I don't know how I want to say, have that clarity in our minds that this is now the turning point to where we are going to start the self-healing process." So right now it's roughly around maybe 10:30 at night, and they're going to send us home, and they want us to be back at 1 o'clock, because Saturday is going to be a pretty interesting day for all of us. So with that, I'm going to stop the story right here. I'm going to do an angel oracle message and see about getting some empowerment, some inspiration, some encouragement in our life, and take that forward into our day, and see what we can create for ourselves. So today we have 1818, optimism, angel whisperer. Successful manifestation of your abundance is near. Higher levels of optimism are needed as new abundant beginnings are on the horizon. Brighter days always come after the darkest nights. And then it has an affirmation. It says, "Everything is in perfect order as I enter into the next chapter of my journey and connect to the abundance that is near." That's a very amazing message right there. Optimism is truly the key to success, because again, you got to have an idea. You have to be have that optimism about it, that it can be successful. Successful manifestation of your abundance is near. Higher levels of optimism are needed as new abundance beginnings on the horizon. Brighter days are always come after the darkest nights. Sometimes that's a very powerful message right there, because sometimes, people think failure is a bad thing, but it's not. It's something that just didn't work. So now you have to find a way to take your idea and make it work. So brighter days always come after the darkest nights, which is very true, because that's when you have your breakthrough. The moment you think you're feeling like, oh my God, I didn't do this, or this didn't work. And then all of a sudden, bam, you have an idea, and then it launches, and then it can become successful. The other thing I like about this card is everything is in perfect order as I enter into the next chapter of my journey and connect to the abundance that's near. Every day is a new day and a new beginning to create something new in your life, to open up an opportunity that may not have been there for you just by communicating with somebody. And that might lead you to that next step in your journey where you're like, okay, I'm working at this job and I don't really like it. And you meet somebody and they go, hey, well, you could get hired over here, and bam, you get that job. And that opens a door for a new opportunity of abundance to come into your life. So that's a very beautiful message. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day out there. It's very beautiful out here in Phoenix. It's finally, temperature's finally broke. It's not 115 every day. Let's see. Bam. Lighten up. You're being asked to remember that life doesn't always have to be so serious. Yes, there are hard things happening. No, it's not always easy to be here on earth. But you can always find time to laugh, be silly, and have fun. It's so important that you do that. That's a very beautiful message. I like the way that is. I, myself, take life very serious. Like I said before, I'm very goal-oriented. There's a lot of things that I try to manifest all at one time, and the universe can't handle all my manifestations. Like, you got to slow down. But the thing that I really like about this card, and it's so true, it says you are being asked to remember that life you don't always have to take life so serious. Yes, there are hard things happening. And again, those challenges that we face are the things that allow us to grow as we overcome those challenges and become a better version of ourselves. No, it's not always easy to be here on earth. I think we've all experienced that challenge with the way that life goes. But now you can always find time to laugh, be silly, and have fun. Connecting to my inner child with my nephew, and this is very important, is to laugh and to be silly and have fun. As kids, we don't care about anything, and we're so, just out there in the world because we don't have any concept of what things are really going on in the world. So for me, this is very powerful for me because I have to take that time to laugh and to be silly and to have fun and not take my life and the things that I'm trying to accomplish so serious, because that's when the frustration and the doubt and the fear comes in. And again, I'm just as guilty as anybody else of creating my own FUD in my life. So I hope that message resonates with you the way that it resonated with me, to not take everything so serious, take a step back, have fun, and enjoy the journey, as difficult as it may be. All right. Bam. All right. 4747. Self-discovery. I am on a journey of self-discovery. I explore my inner world with curiosity and compassion. Each insight brings me closer to understanding my true self. That is amazing. I really love that because, again, I'm on a journey of my own self-discovery. And when I sit and meditate and I get into that space where I'm truly in love with myself, I'm exploring my inner curiosity and how I see my life going forward. I'm going to read that again. I'm on a journey of self-discovery. I explore my inner world with curiosity and compassion. Each insight brings me closer to understanding my true self. Again, coming from a space of love, loving yourself, being comfortable with who you are, and the understanding of your journey, that is what is about bringing you to your inner self and knowing yourself. So that is a very amazing message. I love that. I hope that inspires you and encourages you to, again, take some time, find a way to reach into your heart, think about the things that are challenging you in your life and how you can overcome them through your own self-discovery, and realize how powerful, inspiring, and beautiful and amazing you are. So I hope that message resonated with you today. I thank you very much for tuning in, and I can't wait to see you in the next episode. Thank you again for watching. God bless you, and have a good night.
People will come and people will go, but but most of this world aren't worth it to know. This life might deal you one or two true friends, so fight for what's yours till this life comes to an end. Some will try tempting your heart's desire, lifting you up while they set you afire. So don't ever keep your true feelings in check, 'cause nothing's worth losing your self-respect.